Can we start yet? Are we here? Close enough? Most of us? No Marcos? No Marcos. Okay. All right. Well, we'll just get started. Good morning, everybody. Hello. Welcome. I've been doing some geometry problem solving, so my mind is on finding patterns. So staring at everyone's name, taking attendance, I'm like, ooh, there's a pattern there. There's a pattern there. It's amazing what the human brain can do. We find patterns everywhere. Question is, what kind of patterns can we find dealing with conic sections? Anyone noticed anything interesting that we haven't talked about yet? Oh, there's Marcos. Okay, good. Because today we're going to continue working with ellipses. Okay, we're just going to wrap that up, a little bit of extra practice, so you really get the ellipses down. I want to get those down pat, so that the ellipse is not the one you're struggling with, so that tomorrow we can turn our full attention onto hyperbolas, which have a lot of similarities, but also a lot of major differences. Okay? And so it's important that the ellipse becomes so ingrained that you don't end up getting it confused in any way with the hyperbola. Okay? So first thing we are going to do is go over answers to last week's worksheet, ellipses intervention sheet. That's the one. Okay, so here then is the front side, the full equations of each ellipse created there. Some of them requiring a little bit more work than others. You have to work out, okay, if here's the endpoints of the axis, find the midpoint there to get your center. And if you know the major and minor axis, find those lengths to find A and B. Oh, you're on the YouTube earlier. Okay, that's fine. You're here now. All right. Anyone have any questions on these first five? Finding the equation for these ellipses. Anything give you trouble? No, nothing in particular? All right, how about the graphs? And again, being able to create the quick sketch by hand is important. Even though you have the graphing calculator, you should be able to, right, identify these parts from the equation, be able to find the center and the lengths of the axes. You got to be able to figure that out from the equation. And then that's enough for you to make, I would almost do, would really want to make this explicit, right? You make your center point and you draw in your axes here as straight lines, right? So you draw in a cross of some scaling, and then whip together a quick curve there. And that part shouldn't be that difficult. When we get to the hyperbola, I can understand a little bit more difficulty in drawing it by hand, but I'm going to show you a trick that actually makes it not too bad. Anybody can build a decent parabola by hand from that. Same with the ellipse. I think if you go with that cross shape first, set your axes in there. Now you're just graphing two line segments and drawing an oval around them. That said, Any questions on graphing the ellipses? Problems with that? No? All right, then it's going to be a very short day for me as far as speaking goes, because all we have now is the rest of the ellipse practice. So here's a few more. The practice worksheet is just more of the same, writing an equation, find the center and foci and the lengths of the axes to then graph. The backside is the same as well. If you're really feeling ambitious, you're like, the simple practice, I've got that, I understand, I want something more interesting. Then I've also included the enrichment activity for this section that talks about eccentricity. And this was introduced in the video that we watched last Friday, right? A measure of how squished out that ellipse is. So if you want to play around with that and see what those numbers are like, add on the enrichment thing. It's just a fairly simple little ratio there, okay, easily calculatable. So the actual work here on this extra sheet is not all that much. You could probably do this in at least the first 7, 10 minutes or so, maybe a couple more minutes for the word problems. So not actually a ton of extra work, but something definitely interesting. So I do encourage you to push yourself if you have the time today. Reach level 3 on the assignment for today, because it's a really good one. But if not, just stick with the practice worksheet, right? Front side, I think front for level 1 and the back for level 2. Any questions on that then, before you get started? No? All right. Well, that's it. We will go over the solutions or the answers tomorrow. But if you have any questions or need an immediate answer before then, please let me know here in chat, or you can send me an email later. That is just fine. For now, I will leave you to finish these. This is the work for today. It's the classwork, but also your homework is then just to finish this. Okay?